XALL HQX. Just to give you a heads up, this probably won't work with larger targets in 4.5 and upwards due to the new armor, gun, and component implementation. We also have to see if stealth is useful if you need to knife fight due to lower gun ranges. However, this is likely will still work against the same or lower size targets only. We'll see. There are so many changes now to the 4.5 PTU. It's a lot to wrap your head around. Cheers. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for stopping by. And I'm glad that you brought that up, right? I was wondering when I should make a video about this, right? And I guess I do need some more talk show content because apparently that gets more views than my actual game content. It's a little bit of a annoyance there. But anyway, what you're looking at right now is the PTU build for the Ghost, right? And yes, the damage has been cut significantly and all that stuff as per the changes to weapons, armor, components, etc. Yeah, I'm tracking it. The only thing right now that I need to air quote wrap my head around is the different things that these guns do, right? Like if ballistics have the penetration that they're supposed to have, then this is gonna be dangerous against bigger targets as well, right? So if you're dealing with something that has like a hammerhead or something, like something that has turrets that can shoot back at you when you get in range, then yes, this build is not going to really be successful, right? But here's the thing: they have increased the speed of the deadbolts by around 10-15%, and it's the same for all of them, right? And then we go to size 2. So they're all around the same speed, right? So the slowest one being this one at 1140, the fastest one being this at 1180, right? Size 3 is 1160. So basically you're gonna have overlapping pips, right? Which is just as good as convergence in my opinion, all right? Now, the range is what the real topic is, right? Because obviously you're pointing out that I'm staying outside of a target's range to target me back. Therefore, it doesn't have the ability to respond to me quickly if it's a player. And then NPCs just have no chance to respond at all since they're completely reliant on the targeting system to be able to script and all this other stuff, right? So, with the basics, with the current values of stealth, it makes the Ghost have to be within the range of the weapon itself, right? So that takes away the Ghost's ability to alpha strike from beyond targeting range, right? And I don't know how I feel about that. And the reason why I don't know how I feel about that is because now we're going to do the neat part, right? We're going to go to the Talon, all right? So we're going to go ahead and throw the deadbolts on here. Right, okay, so we don't have to change anything because it's pretty much already the configuration I like, you know? So we turn off a cooler, we turn off life support, we drop engines down, we turn shields off, right? Now, the Talon has got a detection range of 900 meters or so, right? Now, here's the fucked up part. Why is it okay for a Talon to be able to hit you at 1.5 without being detected, right? At half DPS? Because, I mean, literally, it is half. So, the role of the stealth ship for the medium class is nerfed, right? The stealth on a Talon, with it in its current iteration, by the way, and this is why I wanted to make this video, right? It shows that there's still a lot of balancing that needs to be done, and this patch is going to be extremely, extremely toxic. Okay. Now here's the next fun part, and I've messaged other people about it, right? And you know, I guess they don't want to make a video about it because, you know, they probably think that it's going to get changed or whatever, right? And I'm hoping that's the case, but I'm going to go ahead and put this out there now, right? So what you're looking at is a Mark II Hornet, right? And this is the DPS associated with it, okay? This is the Ghost, right? Now, here comes the part that I think everyone needs to pay attention to, okay? And we'll just go to repeater. Well, no. Can I turn the damn thing off? I can reset it. There we go. Okay. So, first thing we're going to look at is the range factor on the weapons, right? So as we can see, the Tormentor has the greatest range, it has speed, and of course it has the highest DPS available compared to everything else, right? So here's where it gets aggravating as fuck for me as a Ghost pilot, right? So we're gonna take off the deadbolts, and we're gonna put on the Tormentors, right? And as you can see, with just 2 Tormentors, we're already at the DPS of having 5 fucking weapons, right? So clearly the Shiv weapons have not been tuned, right? And just to like emphasize just how busted things are right now, right? And you know, if CIG doesn't change this before this goes live, then I'm gonna be very upset, okay? So as you can see, the new Wolf's energy weapons, 2 size 4s, have 950 DPS, right? Now we go back to size 4 here, and we click on the range and speed again, right? And as you can see, the new weapons for the Wolf have the range of 3 kilometers, right? And they also have decent speed. Same, the Breakneck also has a range of 3 kilometers, and the speed hasn't changed, okay? Now, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go back to the Hornet here, and we're going to change, and note that the DPS on this is 1563, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put Quarrelers on the size 3 turrets, because the Quarrelers have pip convergence with the Breaknecks. And as you can see, the Hornet Mark II has now increased to 1677 DPS, right? Okay. So this is where it gets even more fucking ridiculous. Like, so let me explain this better and much more simple, right? So that it's more easily explainable to even the chimp fighters, okay? So we put the Panthers on, the go-to weapon for the Prosciutto Bros, and as you can see, it's 224 DPS, okay? Now we're gonna put the Ying 2s on, right? And if you own a Santaki Eye, then you'll be able to use these weapons. The Ying 2 has lower DPS, but the Ying 2, as I'm fixing to show you, has a speed of 2000, which means it's the fastest repeater in the game, therefore it has the ability to be the most consistent with damage. The drawback is that it only has a range of 1,000 meters. Okay? Now, that you have a clear picture on repeaters, right? Tormentors. As you can see, it's quadruple the DPS, right? And you have the range, right? So now you're in a situation where the Wolf has the ability to rate fight you forever. And unless you have the weapons that come with a Shiv, then you're not going to be able to control that fight at all. And then, of course, when it comes to the Mark II Hornet and its hard points and stuff, you can see that this is, in fact, the strongest loadout you can use right now in the PTU. And it's all based around the fact that CIG has not brought in the new weapons in line with the older weapons. Now, I'm gonna leave this to y'all to sit here and mull over, right? I'll be nice and say that maybe, just maybe, there could be multiple teams working on two things. You have a team working on the older stuff, and you have teams working on the new stuff, right? Now, these two teams didn't, collaborate properly together to bring in the new weapons in line with the old weapons. That's the nice mentality here, okay? But me being me, and as jaded and as fucking annoyed as I am with this company, I'm just gonna flat out say that they deliberately left these weapons untouched in order to boost their sales. Alright, the Wolf and the Shiv are the two latest fighters to come out. Therefore, the only thing that gives them value is the components they have and the loadouts they have. And without those weapons, and without, the way they are, then those ships immediately lose their value completely, and there's no reason of having them, right? So CIG, in my mind, on purpose, is leaving these guns deliberately, broken and overpowered, so that, the small dick chimp fighters over there in that part of the community can feel like they're still better and skillful and all this other shit compared to everyone else. But I'm just going to go ahead and get ahead of the curve, and just let everyone know that the sad reality is that unless CIG nerfs their brand new guns on their shiny new ships on the storefront, this is the meta. Alright? This is the meta. So you have the Mark II Hornet, and then you have the Gladius, right? Of course, the components are set correctly, but you know the do, right? The Tormentors, like anything that has Shiv weapons, is in fact going to outperform everything else in the game. So how do you make a Ghost cancerous with this loadout? Well, what you do now is, now that you have the Tormentors firing at 1800 and the Omnis have been adjusted in speed, right? Now you can put Omnis on the wings and have convergence with these overpowered Tormentors. And as you can see, we're already at 1000 DPS, all right? And then of course, if you do turn down if they're energy weapons, so it's kind of a hard thing to do, right? But still, you're at 1.5 stealth with weapons that can reach out to 1.6, 1.7 on the Omnis, and then of course 2.5 on the Tormentors. Now, the trick here now is finding a weapon that fires out just as far, right, and also has convergence with this weapon, right? So you're going to want to go by speed at this point, because that selection is quite low. So when you look on the list here, you'll see that the range is down to 1880 on some of these size 2 weapons, right? They don't have much range at all, especially when you're going for the convergence that you're looking for, right? So the best thing you can go for is you can put M4As to parry either range, or you can negate that and risk getting closer for more alpha and more DPS. So let me show you what that looks like, right? So we'll put the Scorpion on right now, right? So the Scorpions will boost you up to 1162 DPS on a Ghost, right? And then of course you can go stealth mode, right? And if you're having to get that close anyway to apply maximum damage, then you essentially have the ability at 1.8 to apply the same amount of DPS that a Gladius can do normally with Tormentors, right here, right? See, 843 and 821, right? Now, let's say you don't want to do that and you just want to go full balls out combat mode, right? And you just don't give a fuck. Now, you turn everything back on. Now, of course, you can't use the Palisades when you're using that, so you'll have to use a Concord if you want to go full battle mode. But still, right? That's significantly higher DPS, right? Now, let's imagine that you're just a normal person in Arena Commander and you don't have the money to spend on everything in the store like some of us do because we're just sadistic assholes, right? So here's the disparity I'm talking about, right? Normal players that don't have access to Shiv weapons, this is what they're subjugated to. Whereas guys like me that buy everything in the store, you're gonna get slapped. and you're gonna get slapped so goddamn hard, it's not even funny. So there's not really much for me to wrap my head around there, dude. It's more along the lines of, you know, do you have current thing on the storefront in your hangar in order to be competitive in dogfighting? Alright? So CIG can prove me wrong by nerfing those weapons to the ground and, you know, seeing if their sales still hold up on these ships, right? But they won't do that because money matters more than common sense.